Hey, welcome to edition 2 of the Good Morning Wake Up Show. I'm your host, David Cohen, and we've got four guests I'm juggling today. Kicking it off with Steffi Black. Steffi's a career coach, a life coach, and heads up a movement called Spread the Kindness. And hey, Steffi, welcome. Good day to you.
Hey, David. Thank you for doing something positive and uplifting during this time. We all need and deserve that. So thank you, first of all.
You're welcome. And I think that's kind of my mission in this lifetime. So it's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, what are you seeing right now? You're a career coach, life coach, people losing their jobs, careers, jobs we had are just like vanishing. You know, it's for everybody. So I know there's something bigger at play, and I trust that something bigger at play. What are you seeing in your clients? How are they managing? How are they feeling about things right now?
Well, it depends on each individual situation. A company I work with had to temporarily lay off some people. And I found that very upsetting because you feel for the people you work with. It is a temporary layoff. I haven't worked with anybody or known too many people who are permanently laid off, luckily. And hopefully a lot of the people go back to their jobs. But during this time, it is important to offer empathy, compassion, and practical advice for how to get through it. So I think it's really important to radically listen, one, but then creatively problem solve. You know, Eckhart Tolle, do you say his name Tolle or Tolle? I always say Tolle, talks about worry pretends to be necessary. But he also goes on to say we can creatively problem solve through difficult situations. So I have offered some mini plans for clients or people I know on how to keep yourself grounded in routines and rituals during this time, even if that includes applying for EI and dealing with slow and backed up systems.
And, you know, if you look at, we talked about this last week, I see kind of like post-COVID-19, there's going to be like almost like a revolving door around jobs and careers. That people who are maybe working in jobs and now they've had a taste of being home or a taste of maybe being a little creative and adventurous with this time, that they might do something different, and we're going to see a lot of new careers, new jobs, new industries form as a result. What's your take on that?
Well, I think there's two sides to this. One is employers that resisted allowing people to work remotely will wake up to the reality that this is what some people want. And I'm not talking about every day working at home, David. I'm talking about the choice to be flexible. I know when I was a younger mom and a younger person, I appreciated having flexibility to be there for the kids part of the time. And I think employers who resisted this movement are now going to come on board, and its time has come. That is one factor that will come out of this. Two is the gig economy. Some of these workers aren't protected and don't have can't apply for EI if they're getting cash. We have to create an economy and situation that honors that we have many workers in a gig economy. So we can't just sweep them under the floor anymore. Now we are faced with the reality that if this is the situation, how are we going to honor their contribution? You know, in Asian culture, crisis also means opportunity. So may this be an opportunity for businesses and leaders to wake up to the reality of people's lives and governments and to honor that and not pretend it's not happening.
Now, in terms of your own, you know, environment, you're obviously in self-isolation, right? And
absolutely.
How are you doing? Like, what changes have you maybe discovered in yourself or in your family? Like, you know, what have you uncovered or learned something that you didn't know before?
First of all, very good question. Thank you for the human part of the interview about how we all do individually. I am what you call a social introvert, David. So I go out and speak and do workshops with companies on creating a more caring and connecting culture. I work one-on-one with individuals from my home office here today. It hasn't been a big change for me. I go into an office once a week. And so for me personally, what I found out is that I really need to keep those grounding rituals and routines I often share with clients, because you don't want to go into the collective anxiety of what is going on, right? I figured out that those routines and rituals I used to do are incredibly important. In fact, if not more so during this time, because I do empathize with people that are temporarily laid off, people that are worried about what's next, and all the different situations. So I try to take advantage of not only doing my own routines and rituals that I share with clients, but also all these incredibly free resources that are out there. Tara Brock, the amazing meditation teacher, did an live meditation last Wednesday. Sounds True, the multimedia publishing empire, is offering online courses constantly. They just came out with a free one on self-compassion. The Ivy League colleges are offering free learning. So myself personally, I'm trying to, within my day, also take aside time for a free learning vehicle I might not have had the opportunity for out of paying for it, the cost, or even making the time. So I'm trying to give myself those daily rituals and routines, David, that include a learning opportunity for more growth.
What other rituals I like that. I saw Demi promoting a psychology course. I think I signed up for it.
Yes.
Who knew? Anyway, what other rituals are helping you cope and manage?
Okay, my rituals, if I can bore you with my routines and rituals. On an ideal day, David, I get up at 5:30, quarter to 6. I do something called a philosophy called Ho'oponopono, and I do a 12-step ritual process. Then I do a meditation, and then I do Qigong. So, or a 20-minute workout. That's why I like to get up early, so it's all done by 6:30. And if not, if my days are different, and during this time they are a bit different, is I break it up. But I always try to do a grounding mindfulness routine, and then at nighttime, try to read something that's peaceful. I do not think it is helpful to have the news in your consciousness constantly. I think you can know what's going on, and I really appreciate a publication called The Bullet right now, which is an online update about what's going on. And I get that in my inbox every day. And then I listen to the government updates as they come on the news. But I never listen to news first thing in the morning, nor at night, because I think it does seep into your subconscious. And I think peacefulness is a very important way to begin your day and also end your day.
Oh, I totally agree. And you and I are of the 5:30 a.m. club, and I have a very similar ritual. I do affirmations and gratitude journal. Spiritual music, then I meditate, and then I exercise on my bike. And normally I do watch breakfast television, but not now, because I don't want to see all this stuff, right?
Right. You changed your routine yourself, right?
Yeah. And like you, like, have you noticed like your body clock's been off a little bit? Like I was getting up at 5:30 like religiously. Now I'm going to bed at 10:30 at night, 11. I used to go to bed at 9:30, 10. I'm a boring guy. But no, I had to be, because like I always feel I have to be sharp the next day for those that I'm working with. So
David, I feel the same way. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to
notice like your body clock just like.
Absolutely, David. I've been going to bed at 11:30. I never did that, right? I don't know, the day just goes by lately in this intense isolation very quickly in some ways, right? Because I don't know, there's so many things I've been wanting to do in terms of reaching out to people too, to check in on them, to start group texts, to send humor during this time, to share resources. You know, I started that Facebook group, but you have one yourself, Peace and Prosperity. And I, with another friend, Rona Smith, a fellow coach and kindness advocate in schools, started Kind Acts Community During Virus on Facebook. And it's just important to reach out and check on people. Next week, I hope to do something for small businesses. I'm talking to my sister-in-law, who's a talented graphic designer, about creating a gift certificate for businesses that we can buy now, maybe to help support them for later.
Count me in.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
Yeah. No, I love that. And when we spoke last week, you were going through some stress. How's the stress level? Are you calming down a bit? Are you getting used to this, sifting into this new normal that we're all experiencing?
I think my stress came from empathizing for people in a difficult situation. So that was where you just called me when I just heard the news. And so I was right in that moment of empathy for the others in that situation. And I realized in my own inner work I've done over the years, the calmer and more stable and centered I am, the more helpful I can be to others. Again, that quote from Eckhart, worry is absolutely unnecessary. Creative problem solving is where you can help people.
I agree. We're being leveled, all of us. And, instead of being human doings, we're being forced to be human beings.
The collective soul, if you want to get spiritual, right? We are all one. A well-known teacher of mine, Sarah Wiseman, an intuitive who actually has free readings Tuesday. I'm a big fan of her newsletters and her simple, clear writing. And she talked about today in her channeled message is that we are all one and we're being called to a new consciousness. Once again, that Asian philosophy of what out of crisis comes opportunity. And I'm not taking away from the people that are laid off or let go or in trauma situations. I'm talking about the opportunity for many of us to regroup and realize we're all interdependent and we're all interconnected. And we are a community. And the more we can reach out and help others, including centering ourselves, first of all, give ourselves self-kindness, and then in turn from that grounded strength position, we can give kindness to others. We are so much more powerful. And I think there is a huge sense of community happening now that we'd lost sight of before this happened.
Yeah, because we were all like busy doing,
right.
Going, running, traveling.
Right.
I find I'm actually busier now than I was.
In some ways, David, I don't disagree with you at all. I don't disagree with you at all. And, if we were helping each other because of the work you do and the work I do, then that's just a blessing.
Mm-hmm. It really is. Like, yeah, it really is. And I thought about. I looked at my April calendar and my May calendar, and I don't have any training bookings, right? So, and obviously, because a lot of the clients I work with are closed. So, and one of the things I decided was I'm not worrying about that. I'm gonna have to. I can't control it. I've done what I can, and given the situation, that's out of my control. So I'm letting go. And what I find, and Steffi, tell me if this is true for you, is I'm kind of in a process of, okay, kind of like going through your old clothes. What do I keep? What do I throw away? What do I need? What don't? Have I worn that in the year or not? Does it still fit? Do I still like it? And then I donate the old or let go of the old. So what about this process of letting go of what really is out of your control and just really focusing on the things that we need to focus on? What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, you raised an incredible point. Absolutely. We can't shop much during this time, can we? It's about grocery shopping and essentials. It's not about material goods. So we can't do much but be, can we? So the more we can regroup inwardly, the more our outer world will change. Like when you called me excited to do this program to be a positive, empowering influence during this time, I could hear in your voice you had surrendered to not the worry part of, oh my goodness, I don't have training sessions in April, but the openness and surrender to, well, maybe something else is coming my way. In the philosophy of Ho'oponopono, it is totally about, do you want to live through memory, past baggage, emotional trauma, or do you want to surrender to inspiration? And, you know, the mantra, you talked about mantras, is forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you, thank you. Are you allowing true inspiration to come through during this time and accept that you will eventually be okay in your world? And then things will change. If we go to the worry and fear, and remember, I'm not talking about people who are dying or sick. I'm talking about people like you and me and the people that we know that are okay. If we surrender to what is and accept that something good will come out of it, it's like the law of attraction. You're expecting good, and a lot of the time from that, good does come.
And, you know, I did a meditation this morning, and the mantra was about, you know, like all is well. You know, it wasn't Louise Hay, but it was so that was sort of the message. That right now, everything's okay. You know, so if we just stop, everything is okay right now, right? Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Right.
And we'll deal with tomorrow. So I think to me, it's really been a process of letting go of what I can control. What miracles have you seen out there in your world and in your community? And then talk a bit about the, you know, spread the kindness.
Right. Well, I'm seeing so many, what did they call them? Caremongering groups.
Yeah.
Come up. A friend of mine started her Mad Heroes Hub again about inspiring people to ignite the mad hero within themselves. I'm seeing kindness communities. Some of us are posting ways to help others. There's a lot, and then people are posting on doors, you know, hello, my name is. If you need groceries, if you need anything, please reach out. Our next door Ledbury community through the neighborhood hub is some people have been writing, how can I help you? Is there anything that you need? There's beautiful moments of community. It doesn't matter whether I know you. You're part of. Once again, we're interconnected. So somehow this crisis time is also an opportunity to see through the facade of you are different than me. It doesn't matter the borders. It doesn't matter the skin color. It doesn't matter any of that in times like this. It's you are a human being that is part of my community, and we are connected. How can I help you? So I'm seeing a lot more of that, less of focus on who is different than us, and more of focus on we're the same. Let's help each other out.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about your project. You kind of amped it up a little bit. The spread the kindness. What's going on? What are you doing? Where can people find that?
Sure. Spread the kindness. First of all, I talked about the Kind Acts community during virus, which is on Facebook, and that's the most important thing to me right now, in the sense of not so much my business, but sense of that we're all helping each other come together. As a life and career coach, I do help people with plans and transition plans in their life and career, and I've been working with people to recenter and rebalance and look at where they want to go next and what kind of person they want to be. And later on, I would hope that maybe kindness might even become a more important component to workplaces, David, because it's been proven. It's not about the flexibility, the bonuses, the perks. It's engagement with a warm and connected and caring workplace that is the biggest predictor of employee happiness. So perhaps in the future, more leaders will be open to how kindness played a role in their lives during this time, and how they want that more for the people they work with. That's what I wish out of this time, you know, more of that consciousness.
And what inspired you to do this, like to promote, you know, the kindness in the workplace? And you teach at schools too. So
Right. Well, I was a little girl born to parents too young to have a child, 18 and 19. They didn't want to be parents. And I know it was the kindness of my grandmother and my aunt, and later a stepmom who took me in during those times. So when I experienced that kind of kindness and what it meant to me, it made me feel heard. And then when I was bullied at one time in elementary school, that vulnerability again. And I vowed never to allow that, sort of subconsciously, to happen to anyone else. And so it's really in my DNA, because of my own experiences, that we are watching out for other people. We're all in different circumstances, and we all have different journeys. So to me, it's so important to have empathy for other people, no matter what their situation. We may not know why they made a choice we may not agree with, but if we have empathy and compassion for them, we erase borders and fences, and we have more connection to everybody.
Let's leave it at that. We could go on. I could go on with you. Stephanie Black, life coach, you're head of Spread the Kindness, which I just love, and you do career coaching and speaking and training. Thank you for this today.
Thank you for spreading more kindness and cheer. I think I see your next guest, Natalie.
Yeah,
so,
Natalie.
Stephanie, how are you?
hi, Natalie. Nice to meet you virtually. I look forward to hearing what you're going to be speaking about. And David, thank you for bringing all of us on from different walks of life to share stories and hopefully uplift people during this time. It was an honor.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay with us and listen in, or if you got to go, you go. But that was Stephanie Black, and she thankfully joined us from her home office, where we all are these days.
Exactly. I'm going to listen to Natalie for a couple minutes, then I have to go make dinner for children, but I want to hear a little bit from your next guest.
All right, I'll be over. I'll stand on the doorstep.
Okay, sounds good.
We're not that far from each other.
No.
Our next guest is Natalie Arota, who's a nutritionist, coach as well, a yoga practitioner. I've been seeing you on Facebook doing what Steffi and I talked about a little bit. You're sharing the craft. You're teaching yoga live on Facebook every morning. How's that going?
It is fun. Yeah, no, it's been great, and it has absolutely. Most of them are yoga classes. I do believe it's a time, exactly what Steffi said. It's time to sort of break down the boundaries, create union, and that's what yoga is. And I've also been doing some more hardcore fitness classes. It's great to be able to work the cortisol in certain more positive directions than just letting it fester in the body and wreak havoc on what's going on. So we're just moving things, getting things shaking, and I'm loving it. It's interesting because I've had the question, I'm like, if no one showed up, would I still do them? And I'm like, probably, but I'm happy there are people there because I do appreciate the energy exchange.
David, can I ask Natalie a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Natalie, can you give us, David and I, a little taste of, even in the middle of our days, a yoga breath or something to break up, your shoulders and point to your ears in the middle of your day. David and I would love something we could do at our desk, a yoga.
Well, I love it. So I also have done ergonomics as well. So and this is the first thing, be mindful of how you're sitting while you're working. It's not that you want to have perfect posture constantly. You do want to be able to shift around a little bit, but be aware of okay, I've been leaning on this arm for a long time and I'm sitting on my leg. My knee is starting to hurt. So it's get yourself constantly moving, comfortable, and do be mindful of your position. If your arm rests are up high and you're sitting like this typing, you're going to feel really, really stiff that by the end of the day, when this comes down and you're walking around making dinner for your kids, doing whatever, the headache is going to keep coming. So watch how you're sitting when you're typing. Getting yourself set up properly on your workstation is ideal, especially for those of us that are entrepreneurs and we tend to just kind of work and work and work, and we can get lost in our craft, exactly what David said. So absolutely, yoga breath, just step away from it all. If you have a possibility of putting something on the screen that's of something that you really enjoy, whether it's just aesthetically pleasing to you or it's a picture of your family or your happy place, put that on and then just look at it a bit. You can just focus on that for a little while. Close your eyes and just focus on your breath. And with yoga breath, there's so many different types of yoga breath, but it is in through the nose, out through the nose. And I love having people just sort of focus on the breath coming in, feeling the cool air on your nostrils. Feel it, see it going down the windpipe right into the base of the lungs, filling up the middle of the lungs, then the top of the lungs. Because you really want to get those lungs stretched out and worked out while we're in this right now. We want them to be the healthiest part of us. Plus, we want to take the air in. And as you exhale, it's the same thing. Empty the lower, empty the middle, empty the upper, and watch the air come out of the windpipe and feel the warmth on the edges of your nostrils. And it's just being mindful of that, bringing it to a breath where there's nothing else that you have to think about. If any distractions come to your mind's eye, acknowledge them. Don't be upset, because so many people get frustrated by that. It's like, acknowledge it like a cloud passing through the sky and bring the attention back to the breath. And just doing that a couple of times during your work day. Hopefully you're not 12 hours a day, because then you might want to do it a little bit more. But it's just being mindful of how you're breathing, how you're sitting, how you're reacting, like you were talking about. I only caught the end of it. It's just being mindful, being aware, not needing to change anything, just being aware, because when you're aware, you're able to change things. So that's, I hope that helps.
I love that. I think if people took mindful breaths a couple of times a day, their whole being would change.
Absolutely. It just brings you to the now. There's nothing more now than your breath. And you don't have to even think about it. Like, it just happens.
It also helps to fight some of our emotions and our stress, to take a deep breath and just like breathe, let it go. And again, we're letting go too of energy and angst and those emotions. You were mentioning yesterday in your Facebook Live that you did that you were having an emotional day. What was coming up for you, and for other people experiencing some emotions? I felt a little raw today too, actually, at one point. How can we deal with these emotions and just be okay and love ourselves through it? So
that's a fantastic question. We all have to understand that, we still have the same sort of things that trigger us that are happening now as well. Of course, we're maybe not commuting, we're not dealing with traffic and all sorts of things. I never did commute. It's like about a 1-minute commute from my room to the house. I kind of beat that a long time ago, and it was triggering me so much. And we all should still be okay that we have these triggers that are happening, and be okay that they're triggers. At the same time, understanding that even if we're staying away from the news, even if we're, keeping, perhaps social media is the only way we're poking in and kind of peeking in on what's going on right now, there is a general state of a real uncertainty going on right now. And I don't think that there's anything that drives people more neurotic than they already are, than having that state of uncertainty right in front of their faces. And so I'll just explain what happened to me yesterday. I'm doing pretty good. Like, I know I like uncertainty. I've been for probably the last 2 to 3 years just really focusing on befriending uncertainty, like just befriending it, being okay. Everything, the term came into my mind in 2016. It's everything will be okay as soon as you're okay with everything. And I knew it was something big, and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. And then I just keep getting lessons that I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Oh, it makes sense. And now it's like, oh, it really does make sense. Like, everything will be okay as soon as you're okay with everything. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean that you have to resist against it. It doesn't mean that you have to accept it and just keep going that way. But again, it's the observation. I'm okay with this. I know what's going on right now, and I'm okay with it. And yesterday I had a little bit of a blip and that's okay. And I was happy with it. I had the time by myself. My daughter was over at her father's. We're separated because of some health issues going on in that house. We have to be extremely careful. And rightfully so. I believe responsibility is one of the biggest things people have to be doing right now. And I'm hoping that everyone, to the best of their capability, is being responsible, because not everyone has the same level of responsibility ingrained in them yet. And it may come sooner than later that it's demanded on us, but we're doing our best right now. So my daughter was not here. So that in a mama bear, and I'm sure Steffi, you can understand, it's like, it's a bit of mama bear. Like, I'm like, where is she? What's going on? And even though very rationally, when she's there, I have not a worry in the world, but we're under some sort of real interesting circumstances right now, some different times. And so not only that, and I think you might have caught this too, David, if you caught it in the thing, is in the live yesterday, is I have somebody extremely special in my life who's come in after a lot of just patience and soul searching and asking the divine and just really kind of clearing up my energy to bring someone in. And I can't see him because he's still working. He's now still considered, yesterday I prayed and I put out my setting the intentions that he would be not considered an essential, but he is an essential service. And he's exposed every day to, 1,500 people. So I'm not able to see him because now if I get infected or, if we're carrying it, I don't doubt Evangeline, my daughter, and I are strong enough to handle it. And I know that Andy can handle it as well. However, if it does transmit into my daughter's father's home, we all have to be very careful about that. So it's a bit bittersweet. I have some romantic friends that are like, oh, it's so bittersweet. And I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm over. I want over.
Exactly. I know. I'm like, I just want my clan together. And so again, understanding there's an uncertainty. I don't know when I'm going to see him. I don't know what's going to happen next. But I allowed myself to get angry, and I allowed myself to be down. I allowed myself to fall into the lower levels of energy, which I spoke about yesterday, levels 1 and 2. Victim energy, even though we don't like the word victim, there's no meaning around it other than what we put on it. But what it does sense is that we are at control. We are feeling as though we're at the control of something else. So we feel like we're losing. The blame is on us. We don't have the control. We're just going to sit back and either really become apathetic or start completely shutting down our responsibility. And this is good in a lot of ways. Like, imagine losing somebody that's really important to you. How many people in society or in the community come around and they support you? Because it is a time to sort of quiet down and just sort of lick your wounds because something just happened, and then just sort of take a breath. However, some people get stuck down there for a long time, and that's what I'm watching right now. So not only am I doing these Facebook Lives to keep everybody's energy up for some sort of semblance of let's keep going, let's keep moving. I'm a little bit of a jokey person. I have like a bit of a higher energy. I love joy. That's level 6 in the levels of energy. And so I want to share that. I know I have it. I know I have the gift. And to be honest, going into those Facebook Lives to do the classes was absolutely mindless. Like, it was just soul came down. I was inspired to do it. And it just was like, how do I do this? How do I make it work? Okay, my bedroom, I already thought I'd do this at one point. So it's interesting that the thoughts I've had in the past are now being applied right now. So the second level of energy that people, it's a little bit higher of a level of energy, but still very low, is the level of conflict. And the level of conflict is, the energy behind it is, I win. Like, you lose, F you, screw you, like, I win. And again, not a bad energy if you're using it for beneficial reasons, especially to everyone else. Like, it's a powerful energy that gets stuff done. Like, you can motivate people with this, like, let's go. I've done mud runs before where like I got electrocuted and I ran through like mud and fell all over the place and did all sorts of things. And I needed that energy to get through. And man, when I got out of those like ice cube baths, it was like, mother, and it was great. And so these are two very powerful, one is a weaker energy, one is extremely powerful. The whole fact is it's extremely catabolic. Both of them just kind of, it's a low level of energy. And if we're in it for very long, like any of the levels of energy, we end up really messing things up or getting stuck and starting to lose lose focus on values and all sorts of things. So yesterday I did, and I allowed myself to, but because I know the levels of energy and I know the level or the emotions that go with it, I did it mindfully. So once again, it's the mindful thing that I was talking about. It's just being mindful as you move through everything, being mindful that, hey, I'm really upset right now and I'm feeling really scared. Okay, all right, I am, that's what it's happening now. Now, how do I move forward? And have your resource, have your toolbox, which is calling friends, which is going to, do some meditation, do some sort of the adult coloring books, which are really wonderful and beautiful. Like anything that is going to lift your soul because you enjoy it, do that. Even if it's something that's like, I shouldn't be doing that right now. Yes, you should. As soon as you say, I should be really taking care of this instead of doing that, don't do that, do that. Like, follow where, what it was the whole thing that's saying, follow your bliss. Like, it is follow your bliss right now. We have the time, we have the space. Follow your bliss as much as you can to balance yourself out throughout the day.
Yeah. Now, great advice, and I agree with the levels of energy. I've gone through those too in my work and career, and where I've been down in the dumps about something. I've had to kind of like go down.
Yep.
But that to me is sort of like, I call it my effort energy. And then I come back up, but I have to go down. I have to just let it all go. And then I come back with my FU energy, and that's when I get mobilized and back into action. And I need to do that. It's part of the process. And this isn't something new. This has been like, I've noticed it for years, right? And
beautiful.
I need that little bit of a, right, to get me going.
Excellent.
I want to just touch on, before we close, some principles of yoga. So I went online and I did a little principles of yoga. And this is, I think, appropriate for people who are going through some angst and challenges right now. And one of the principles, I'll just talk about four. Teach what is appropriate to the individual. So even like how we're living our lives and leading our lives right now, which really is, we've been limited. we have to just do what's appropriate for us. What's your take on that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's neat that you're talking about this. Absolutely what's appropriate for us. And what's appropriate for us, for most of us as human beings, it is what also will benefit other people. I teach a program called Discover Your Sacred Gifts. And what's a real neat principle about it, which I feel like it's anything that really is of any sort of soul fill, is it's not a gift unless you're using it for someone else. Unless someone else can benefit from it, it's not a gift. Some of the gift examples are the gift of encouragement, the gift of wise counsel, the gift of hospitality, which I have. And so this is kind of not a great time for me because I'm not able to host anyone. So you bet I've been putting my energy into cooking for plans for later. Say that again, sorry?
Come over, but stay out there.
I'll leave something by the door for you. I can. But it has to be appropriate. It's a time to be kind to yourself. And what's so wonderful about yoga is absolutely, it's your connection. I always say a lot of I teach both Pilates and yoga and fitness classes as well. Pilates it's a mind-body connection. You are learning every single small muscle. Things are just fantastic. Like you're able to strengthen anything. With yoga, it's a body-soul connection. Our presence is in our body. That's how we experience it. And if you're not feeling it in the moment, don't force it because it's not you that's doing it. So do what is appropriate for you. And so many people think I should be calm during this time. I should be exercising. I've had people say, oh my gosh, how are you exercising still? And I'm like, because it's appropriate for me. I love the word. It's inspired. It's a no-brainer and it brings me joy. So those are tick, tick, tick. You bet I'm going to continue doing it. And that's why I'm just encouraging other people who are called to it. No one's forced. I invite everyone. I pull no one along. Like I will be there, I will offer perspective, but it won't be anything that you must do. Even in class, I say, if you feel like you just want to lie down today in corpse pose and Shavasana and just relax, do it. This is your practice, your class. It's yours. It's an opportunity to just really slice out a part of time for yourself where you can challenge yourself, push the edge if you feel like you're able to.
Another principle is differences must be respected.
Absolutely.
That's important right now because we're all feeling this on different levels.
I love it. Well, and Steffi was referring to it just before as well, saying like the divisions, the walls, we can't be divided in this time. I'm not saying can't. I will never can't anyone, but it does not benefit the whole, nor what is possible if we're continuing to be separate. And that's what I probably was doing I was doing that last week when I saw people right away going into the level 1, level 2, which again is based around the ego. And ego is all about the individual. So if I saw people kind of saying, oh my God, like the toilet paper people, if they get it, they deserve what they get. And I would inject a little bit of information, just be like, let's get a different perspective. People are going to react to this in a different way. And so being able to be mindful of the differences and then be okay with it and just trust your own path. And trust there's somewhere else along the path. And if you're a role model for them, there'll be a chance for them to see a different perspective of how to be. So it's respect the differences, honor, and exactly what Steffi was saying, have the compassion towards everyone's got a different background with different triggers, with different stories, with different things that have affected their emotions. This is bringing up a lot of emotion and people are reacting in ways that we don't understand because we haven't seen this type of level of uncertainty or tension. So be kind. And it is about having the differences and respecting them.
Right, and we don't know what their background is or their life story.
You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know their patterns.
No. And then number 3, Disha, consider the situation. We just said that. We talked about that.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it is. It's being very mindful of what's going on. And this is how I see it. And I have a spiritual way of seeing it. We are all of our souls, and our eyes are the doorway to our soul. All of our eyes are watching this. And this is the first time in humanity, Spanish flew close, but with this happening where we're all watching, we are God looking into ourselves. We're all seeing the same thing. How are we going to act in this? Like, what are we going to do? So this is an absolute opportunity for us to just see, understand the situation, and decide what our next steps are going to be. That's where the opportunities lie.
Right. And back then they didn't have this thing called the internet.
No, they didn't. No. And so imagine how that traveled around, and it probably, I don't even know if it was more dire or not. I can't tell anymore. Yeah.
And last is each person needs to be taught according to his or her own disposition, age, shape, size.
Well, it's true, and I love I love teaching with kindness. There's people who are a little less flexible than others, and flexibility isn't flexibility, strength, endurance, and so strength, power, and balance. Those four things are most important to physical fitness. People think it's like cardio and strength and maybe some flexibility. We want all of it. However, we're all coming at it at different times. We have different body types. We have different energy levels in the moment of the class. So what I say to people is, like, if you can't get your leg completely straight, keep it bent. As long as you feel that stretch, a stretch is a stretch. And I like applying that to everybody's life. A stretch is a stretch. You might not be writing the book like your friend is. You might not be in that job that your friend has. You might not be experiencing that relationship that your friend has. But we're all stretching. We're all moving. And if you're taking those steps and being present with the class and being present with your practice, a stretch is a stretch. I always say, find your edge and lean into it during the yoga class. And that's to be able to challenge and strengthen. And some of the classes I've been doing now have been more gentle. Just let's find the edge and just sit in it for a while. And that's what these classes have been mostly in the last while. So.
And they become your friend on Facebook and they can take it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Last topic is Mark Pettipas is here, and he's our next guest. Is you're also a nutritionist. So tips on eating healthy and how vital that is. I'm on keto, and I've maintained my keto program.
Excellent. Well, and that's it. Finding something that works for you. Where so I am certified as a holistic nutritionist. I use it here and there. I won't say that I'm practicing it. I'm not asking for clients on nutrition right now. Like, that's not where I'm going. But one thing that I know for sure is eat lighter. Eat lighter, because a lot of us aren't moving as much. Now's the time that a lot of people might be jumping into the ice cream, into the ice cream tubs and doing all kinds of things that absolutely treat those as treats. Like, treat those as just like, you know what? Let's play. Let's play during this time. Who knows how long we're going to be in our homes? Do we really want to kind of rush through everything? Let's test ourselves. Let's, again, find the edge and push a little bit more. So lighter foods. I love it. My daughter and I, we always say dehydrated fruits are my Mother Nature's candy. So have that if it's going on. Obviously balance out. And again, if anyone has any questions, they can certainly connect, but it's just keeping it balanced. There's a great saying, it's follow wolf. It's whole food, so it's close to the, you won't find a box of potato or a bag of potato chips from the ground. Like, you'll find the potato, eat the potato rather than the potato chip kind of thing, but enjoy your potato chips. Organic, if at all possible. Live, meaning try not to cook the out of it. Make sure that it's still kind of good. So a lot of raw food if you have it, and fresh. And luckily right now, I went out today to do kind of a run for 2 weeks, and I was really pleased to see what was out there and how everyone was acting. Like, it was a pleasant experience given the circumstances. So
beautiful. Thank you, Natalie, for this.
You're great. I really appreciate being here. Again, we were like, how do we know each other?
I got no clue.
We just do, and that's what matters.
I'm meeting like people like that online now. Like, I'm connecting with all kinds of
I love it. Well, it's your energy. You're attracting them. So very good.
Blessings to you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
From your home office in Mississauga, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I'd love to stay on for a few minutes more, but I do have to also make dinner for a child. So I'll stay on for a bit.
Mark's got a few kids. So Mark, hey, welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. I know you watch my Sunday morning coffee chats.
I did.
You're the president of Dunsire Homes, so you've been doing a lot of crisis management. And yesterday you posted a video on LinkedIn about trusting your intuition and your gut about having to let go of some of your employees and your tradespeople, or managing them properly during this crisis.
Yeah, let go is a bad word. We didn't let anyone go. Everyone.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you're right. But just managing them through this crisis so that they're safe. So talk to us about, how your intuition, your gut feeling helps you lead and run a company like this.
I think at the end of the day, trusting the way you were brought up and making that part of your business decisions and your personal values is important. I kind of sound silly. I've lost both my parents over the years and a brother. And I always go back to, what would my mom think right now? Sadly, sometimes she wouldn't be very impressed, But a lot of times I'm kind of doing what's right for people. And so where this came from is, we're a small company, David, and what happens when these decisions are happening, to my natural instinct is to protect everybody's health. And so the people in the office, it was very easy to say, go home, work from home. That's a no-brainer. We can get stuff done. And they've been gone for almost 2 weeks and functioning at a high level. My guys on site, boy, that's tough, because I want them home too. But there's so many more players involved in that decision. It could be investors. It could be customers who have bought a home and are expecting to move into it. And so, my gut's telling me, take care of their safety, get them out of there as I'm touring sites. But until I can make that decision, I'm putting processes and policies in place to protect that. So no more than one employee in a house at a time. We're lucky as a low-rise builder. It's not a big high-rise where there's trades tripping all over each other. But long story short, living with my gut, it would very much be, what would mom do here? If mom was in your situation and she had to do this, how would she protect people? And as corny as that sounds, that's kind of what it comes down to. And so that's the way I'm trying to lead right now. And it's changing every moment. So I got ahead of it to shut things down and send people home, and even get our construction guys working from home so they could get paid. But then about 4 hours later, I had misinterpreted that message, and our government said construction was an essential service. And so now all the partners, all the trades, everybody wants to work. And because we're a small company, I got to look at it saying, okay, do I protect them on site, or do I run the risk of sending them home and they're not paid 4 to 6 weeks down the road? And so all of those things go like, and it's tough to sleep at night because I have 4 kids and here I am in my office. But at the end of the day, leading with gut drives you to those decisions, whatever they are.
Yeah, but the gut's also based on, you mentioned value-based leadership. How does value-based leadership, guide you as a company, Mark? Because this is, you're just responding to the core values. So how does value-based leadership guide?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, and you'll hear this from a lot of leaders, and hopefully, I've posted enough online where people can validate if I'm bullshitting or not. Pardon the language.
That's okay.
But for me, I always want to drive people-driven cultures and ones that are based on servant leadership. Those are my values. If I develop people and I hire leaders who can develop people, we're going to be successful. And if I trust them, they're going to give us all they can, and they're going to do the right thing. And yep, eventually they're going to mess up, but we're going to be there to support them through it. So staying true to my values means respecting people's lives. So, it's so unfortunate. We've lost the buzz. We just had a town hall, and we announced to all of our employees that they'd be working half-day Fridays from June until September, and that would be paid by the company. And the reason I did that was very much, I watched the other 9 months of the year. I watched the team in the office stick around till 5:27 when they're supposed to finish at 5 and do the right thing. And I know they're losing 27 minutes in the winter, multiple days a week, as an example. Boy, what can I give them back to enjoy life when it most matters and everyone's heading up to the cottage on a Friday afternoon? Those are examples of, for me, like leading with those values. And for me, it's always been about people, and it's always been about putting the onus on my leadership team first, and driving results through that approach.
Yeah, and is that translated into results? And
it has. I mean, up until last week,
everything changed.
We have been, again, a small company, drastically growing, taking on new projects, hiring new people. Without revealing our P&L here online, yes, our company's healthy and was growing. But boy, this just hits you in the face, right? And so, So how do you stay true to leading from a servant perspective while still trying to do the right thing for all the stakeholders involved, including the customers?
Yeah, I like that. So how do you stay true to, the servant type leadership that Dr. Stephen Covey really talks about?
Yeah. It's about, even in this remote period, making yourself accessible, checking in, doing what I call anxiety checks. So like through a time like right now, I'm talking to every single one of my managers in individual meetings in the morning. Hey, how you dealing with the news of yesterday? What are you doing today? How can I help? And then I'm checking base in the afternoon saying, okay, in your one-on-ones with your team, how's everybody feeling? What questions do they have? What can I take off your plate? What are you really worried about? Tell me the truth. And just being as transparent and honest as possible. I mean, it's kind of the way I've seen great leaders do it. And it's not out there enough. So yeah, that's kind of the way we're doing it, is just touching base with our people and making ourselves accessible, and putting an architecture behind it that's forcing us to do it in these difficult times so we don't forget it.
Yeah. And how about you as president? Who do you go to? Because we're, well, you're probably feeling stressed out like everybody else, right?
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's I've had a good couple cries the last few days. I'm not afraid to admit it. I miss my parents deeply. These are times, doesn't matter how old you get,
Yeah, I know. I still
you
want
need
my
to
mom.
talk to.
Yeah.
But my wife, my kids, I mean, you're hearing all these positive stories about the time we're getting at home. My God, there's been so much positive in all this negative too. So that's where I'm trying to get it. And quite frankly, as you know, because we've been connected over the years, I'm a student of LinkedIn, and I'm looking at the Simon Sinek's even more than ever. And I'm following up with my peers in the industry, and just trying to get some guidance and gut checks there as well. But yeah, it's hard. This is my first president role. I'm 7 months in. I've always wanted this for what I believe are all the right reasons, and it's challenging. And so yeah, getting support is really forcing me to look around at probably instead of the literal conversation for support, David, it's more about capturing the positive moments to balance off the negative ones, and I'm working out. I'm trying to do from home to keep healthy body, to keep healthy mind. But yeah, I sure do miss my mom and dad right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I know, even at my age too, Mark. I got a couple years on you, and my mom passed away about 8 years ago last week, and it'd be nice to have a mom hug and
Yep.
and some of her desserts. And I'm on keto. I can't have them now. But she made a mean pecan pie. I got to tell you.
I'm with you. If my mom was here, we'd be playing cards and drinking Alexander Keys.
Hey, I'm in.
Everything calm.
Now you're into hockey and sports. Are you playing hockey on Xbox or video games?
No, we are doing. I'm like a little bit of a hypochondriac. Like I am like keeping away from everybody. Like we'll get a box delivered from like Amazon or whatever, and I'm wiping that puppy down before it ever gets in the house with winter gloves on.
Okay.
So my sporting has been just with the kids in our immediate 4 people here in the house, and we get out once in the morning, once in the afternoon. We take some shots on the net and play a little keep away. On the sporting front, I've been gearing up for a very obscure world championships of old man ball hockey. So there's a thing called Masters, and we played in Worlds 2 years ago and lost in the finals in Bermuda. And this year we qualified again after winning Worlds, and we were supposed to be going to the Czech Republic, but obviously that's kind of all up in the air right now. So sports is taking a back seat, but I'm competing with the little ones.
And the Habs are winning, right? In your case, right?
The way I'm looking at it is the Leafs can't win the cup this year if this goes on, because I'm going to get just bothered by all my friends when that eventually happens.
Yeah, but they're unbeaten now in almost 2 weeks. So
it's true.
Mark, thank you for this, man.
And my pleasure.
Where do we get a hold of you?
If we you can find me on LinkedIn at MarkPetitpas, Mark Petitpas. Probably the best spot. I wouldn't punish people with my Facebook content. So yeah, LinkedIn's the best place to find me.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, cheers. Take care, David.
Yeah, you too. Be well, man. Stay in touch, okay?
You bet.
All right, brother. Our last guest is Amy Jones, in behind the nice backdrop there. So happy to have Amy with us. And Mark, if you want to stay, you want to go, it's up to you. And we've got a few minutes here with Amy. Amy is a single mom and student based in Wisconsin, in the U.S. And Amy, you've got a younger child at home. How's your son managing in these very weird times? And for those that do have young kids at home, how's your son managing? And then I'll ask you a couple of other questions around.
So my son is 3, and right now he's managing quite well, but we've had a few days to kind of adjust. He just started like a preschool, so he was very, very upset when Miss Robin wasn't coming to get him in the van. And of course he didn't understand why. And then, once daycare stopped, I could tell that it was a little bit hard on him. He has his friends in school and in daycare. So it took a little bit of adjusting. I don't think he's fully grasping, you know, what exactly is happening, other than all of a sudden we're home a lot and playing in the backyard a lot, rather than going to like parks and like indoor playgrounds and stuff like that.
That was kind of my next question. You know, kids at that age are full of energy and they're social beings, and you know, you got them in school and certain activities. How does one parent, when you're kind of more cooped up at home, practicing physical distancing, as I like to call it? I think we can still be social, just keep a physical distance. So how does one parent when you're cooped up at home?
Okay, well, it's definitely challenging. And our home is small, so we're naturally, even prior to this, we were very artistic people. So like doing artwork and stuff like that, sidewalk chalk. We've made a fort out of, we recently got a dryer, and initially we had cut the sides off, but I taped it all back together. We made a fort, we decorated it. So that's in our basement right now. We are allowed to go like for walks down the street, but I just actually heard, which I didn't know earlier, that playgrounds are off limits. So earlier today, we actually did go to a public playground. But that's a big no-no now. So we're allowed to go down the street, but not into any, you know, public areas like that. So it's been a little challenging, but overall, you know, we do have our homework stuff that they sent through the mail. So we're learning. I downloaded abcmouse.com. So that's kind of like, you know, technology interaction. And then we have our art time and our recess time. So I'm still trying to give him a little bit of normalcy as far as what he had in his 3 years of life so far. But it is challenging.
I bet. What have you learned about yourself as a mom and a young woman going through all this? What have you learned?
I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. Able to, you know, you always think, especially, well, for me, I thought, you know, being a single mother, like if I had one more thing on my plate, how am I going to be able to manage? And then it was just like all of a sudden I had 20 more things dropped on my plate. And I'm not going to lie, it is a little stressful, but managing overall quite well. I think it's really just more about your perception on things. And also, for me, I've had to kind of completely shift our routine, even as far as the time that we get up in the morning, you know, because now I'm the one putting him down for nap in comparison to that happening at daycare. So we've had to shift routine a little bit. I'm stronger than I thought I was. So it's
I like that. I think we're all being forced to be a little stronger. But do you have moments where it's like, you know, like Mark shared, you know, he had some emotional breakdowns. I know Natalie shared yesterday with us on Facebook Live that she had an emotional day. You know, how you managing that for you? You know,
I I do have emotional days. In fact, when I seen on social media, I had seen a picture, my friend out of Detroit, she showed a picture of military vehicles lined up in the streets of Detroit. And so my mind automatically went from like, okay, like we're dealing with a virus, to all of a sudden like, is not only our health compromised, but, you know, is our safety at some point going to be compromised as well? So it was kind of like a flood of emotions that way. Thankfully, I still have my mom and my dad in my life. I have, you know, very strong bonds with my cousins, so, and good friends, although, you know, we are practicing the social distancing, but we do communicate regularly every day via either texting, phone, or Facebook messaging. So I'm not alone. Plus I got, you know, the man upstairs. I depend on him a lot.
I think we all are. 'Cause, you know,
Yeah.
when if you don't have anybody else, you know, just make reacquaint yourself. You know,
Yes, definitely.
offline. This is a couple of things I just want to touch base on, and then we'll wrap up this edition of the Good Morning Wake Up Show. You shared offline that you were on a destructive path in your life a few years ago, and then one day you woke up and you said enough is enough, and you chose a different path, and you had a spiritual awakening. The planet is going through a mass awakening right now, Amy. How can we sort of what did you go through that maybe you can impart some wisdom on those of us who are going through an awakening now, and we're all going through
Yeah, okay. So for me, well, first I want to say that yes, we are going through like a mass awakening right now. For me, it was different because it wasn't, well, I don't want to say it wasn't forced upon me, because it was kind of like all of a sudden, my reality's like, what exactly, it's a shift in perception, I guess is how I could explain it. The way that, and what I tell people, so ways that I dealt with myself, and it was just like you said, it was just like one day I just woke up and I just decided like, I can't live like this anymore. Like I just had a sudden awareness of I'm not going the right direction in life. And I can't explain necessarily the idea of how I just knew that I had to change my perception on things, and realized that I was resilient. So what I tell people, and because I do talk to people all over, I offer guidance and stuff like that. And so what I like to suggest to them is being more mindful of your thoughts. It's one thing to be positive, but you have to, and to make a conscious effort to be positive. And something that I suggest to people is like positive mantras, like I am beautiful and I deserve true love, or just like simple things like that. Or when you go outside and you hear the birds chirping, oh, that's beautiful, and then eventually you don't have to tell yourself that's beautiful. It will just be beautiful. And so being mindful of your thoughts, positive mantras, and when you're having sad thoughts or doubts or fears, don't get mad at yourself because you're trying to stay positive, because you don't want to block those feelings out. Be aware of them and just realize that like it's impossible to always be happy, and to think that it is possible, you would be lying to yourself. So balance, I guess, and being aware. And I do a lot of meditations. If it's something where I'm feeling like I have anxiety, I'll just look up short meditations, and whatever comes to me. You can even Google calm meditations. And so that's something that I've fallen back on to help me stay positive in life, because I don't have time, for one, to be going to counseling or like I kind of have to. There's a saying, all the answers are within, and I am a firm believer in that. So you just have to believe in yourself and know that you can make it through anything and everything. And as long as you allow God to work through you, you can, do miraculous things.
You know what? I think I'm going to leave it on that, and that was a beautiful way to end. Amy, where can we kind of connect with you on social media?
So I'm not quite, all that professional yet. So on social media, it's just going to be my Facebook page, Amy Joan. And that's where you can find me. I do have a YouTube channel that I occasionally upload videos to. So that would be White Lily Lady. But other than that, that's where it's at.
Thank you so much. So Amy, can I just share something with everybody?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So you were having fears and doubts about doing this, and I said, "No, you're gonna be fine." He said, "Yeah, but am I okay? Am I the right guest for you?" And I went, "Yeah, you're the right guest. I wouldn't have asked you." And you know what? I just want to encourage everybody to do what Amy did, and that's just say yes.
Yes.
If you're being asked to serve, say yes. And
yes, take that leap of faith for sure.
And this is a great interview. You're a good interview. So
thank you. Thank you. I was a little nervous, so.
Well, and you did really well. So there you go.
Well, thank you.
Our guest, Steffi Black, who had to leave, Mark Pettypaw from Dunsire Homes, Natalie Aroda, she's teaching yoga every day on her Facebook page.
Right.
And Steffi's got a program called Spread the Kindness. And yourself, you're putting some good positive messaging out there too. So keep up the good work, and thank you everybody for this, and thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, and we'll chat with you soon.